like modern science is going to Greek and Latin to find phrases for explaining new ideas. Sanskrit will stay. A large number of people will learn Sanskrit, Sanskritam, but it cannot be the national language of India. So these four ideas, which is very important to us, that there should be a temple, Rama temple, there should be Krishna temple, there should be Vishwanatha temple, not in this miserable state as it is today, but a grand temple reflecting the glory of India will come. So too Article 370 will be expunged from the Constitution, and common civil code might become possible, but we have to create an environment. It cannot be forced upon the people. You have to create an environment, and I am sure Modi will be working slowly towards that. So this is the first revolution he brought in. He mothballed the old leaders and brought in new leaders. And the second is, his whole campaign was on a development agenda, which is a new thing in India. Because Indian leaders talk about development, but not during the election time. Election time it is Babri Masjid or backward classes and caste and community and language and reservation. These were the language. This is the first time that Modi eliminated that kind of a vocabulary from the political field. And he brought in a new language, the new language of development. I remember he talking about in the Delhi University, what we need is speed, scale, and skill. The English words he used. Appropriate Hindi words may not be there. So what he said, what we need, India needs. What India needs is speed, skill, and scale. Things should be done speedily, not through the bureaucratic red tape. Speedily. And with skill, we need a lot of skilled people. In India, the problem is there are a lot of educated people, but unskilled. All of them are unskilled. MAs and BAs and BScs, but do they have any skill for anything? No. So they are unskilled literate people, unemployables. 60% of Indian graduates from engineering colleges and higher education institutions are unemployable, not unemployed. There's a difference between unemployables and unemployed. Unemployed means there is no job opportunity. Unemployable means jobs are there, but they cannot perform. They cannot fit in there. And they have already gone through the college also. So college has made them unemployed. So Modi brought in this idea. This was a campaign slogan. Speed, skill, and scale. You have to do things in a big way, not in small ways. In a big way, like China is doing. China is flooding the world with their own products, cheap products. Of mediocre quality maybe, but they are cheap. And people want to buy that. So we have to manufacture in huge scale. So these three ideas he brought. And he campaigned on this idea. And he convinced people, that's the beauty of that. People did not say what is skill, what is scale, what is... He gave examples. For a skill, scale and speed, he gave examples from his own administrative experience in Gujarat. That's another advantage of Modi. 13 years of administrative experience. Of making things happen. Not simply talking about. So he could pull out examples from his own experience. So people could not dispute that. Another interesting thing he said was, democracy, demography and demand. These are all very complex economic terms. And he is talking to 1 million people, illiterate farmers sitting in front of him. Democracy, demand and demography. Meaning, democracy is very important to India. Indian constitution is that. Modi said that. Indian constitution. I swear by Indian constitution. He did not mention Bhagavad Gita. Bhagavad Gita is there in the background. Why do you say it again and again? That is there. That is there in our genetic structure. But Indian constitution is something we just brought in. And India is functioning under the constitution of India. So people should know that. People should swear by that. So you talked about Indian constitution, democracy, demography. We have the youngest population in the world. We hold the future of the world in our hands. When all other countries are becoming old, we are still young. In another 25 years, the world may need 500 million technicians, nurses, teachers. And all these people will have to come from India. So be ready for that. Be ready for the future. The world is looking at it. So he said demography is in our favor. Democracy is our strength, which China doesn't have. China is our competitor. Hamara spardh China se hai, he says. Nobody could say that. Once George Fernandez said it and there was a hue and cry. But Modi says, Hamara spardh China se. Our competitor is China, not Pakistan, not Bangladesh, not Sri Lanka or Nepal. That is China. We have to take on China. So he brought in this idea, democracy, demography, and demand. It's an economic concept, very complex economic concept. Development by increasing demand. There should be people with the money power, money in their hand, and the desire to buy. Then alone there will be supply. The first demand, then supply. The aspirations of the people. This is materialism, isn't it? When we talk about dharma and all, reduce your need, don't demand anything, don't conceive, just sit there and chant, and that's what we are saying about dharma. But here Modi says, demand. Increase your demand. When you demand, the supply will come. It is not first supply, then demand. So he, dharma viruddho bodheshu kamosmi bharadarsha Bhagavad Gita. I am demand, Bhagavan says in Bhagavad Gita. I am demand. Meaning you have to demand, you have to desire. Demand, demography and democracy. These are our strength. So you have to demand. So it is very difficult for an Indian politician saying all those things to a vast crowd and explaining it in a language which they can understand. And I was amazed by the way he explains Indian national flag. Indian national flag, the ochre color, in the middle white and the green, and the middle you have the blue wheel. Generally we explain it, ochre stands for renunciation, white stands for peace, green stands for progress, prosperity, and the green stands for dharma. This is our explanation. But Modi's explanation is different. He says the green stands for green revolution. The white stands for white revolution, milk. The orange stands for energy revolution. More energy, electricity, nuclear electricity, or coal electricity, or hydropower, or solar power, wind power, all kind of power. Because I want to electrify the whole of India. 24-hour electricity for the whole of India. So you need a lot of power. So orange doesn't stand for renunciation. It stands for energy revolution. And the blue stands for Blue revolution, meaning fisheries. See how it is very difficult. You may say this is a secular definition, this is a adharmic definition, this is how he defines.
White for?
White revolution, milk. So 4 revolutions. So drip and crop, he says. Every drip of water you must have a result there. You must have more crop, more yield. See, brought in these kind of wonderful ideas. And another idea he brought was less government and more governance. This is a Thatcherite idea or a Reagan idea.
Yes. Yes.
Less government, more governance. The government should not be doing all the things. Government should not be occupying the commanding heights of the economy, which you have been following all this year. Government is dumb. Government cannot take intelligent decisions. As far as resource allocation is concerned, the market can do it better. So he says, bring the market in resource allocation, not the government. The government should not decide what people should consume. It's the people themselves who have to decide what should they consume and what they should not consume. What should they demand and what they should not demand. Therefore, the first thing he did was to scrap the planning commission. This is one of the most revolutionary ideas, and I am surprised there is no protest. The first thing he did was to scrap the planning commission. Planning commission was sitting over the head of everybody. Parliament, judiciary, bureaucracy, politicians, parliament, planning commission was had a status of an oracle. Not the oracle company here.
Yeah.
Oracle means the final word of wisdom. He scrapped it. And he says, let market decide what resource should go to what productive activities. Let the people decide what should they consume. Let the market organize all these decisions of individual decisions of the people should be organized by the invisible hand of the market. That's what he says. So from that standpoint, he's a market-oriented person. He's a capitalist. And in economic, I'm an economic student. In economic terms, that means Modi is a first-class capitalist. Of course, capitalism has its own defects. Not that it is a defect-free system. No human institution is defect-free. As Krishna says, Sarvarambhagi doshena dhumen agni divavrudha. There is no defect-free institution that human beings can create. So you have to manage with the defects. You have to manage. You have to manage with it. So, to me, Modi is embracing a development strategy which is close to capitalist, demand-driven economy where capital play important role and foreign investment will play an important role, and it will be more or less a trickle-down effect. Of course, government will intervene when the development is not distributed. It's not an inclusive development with the distributive justice. If that's not there, the government may intervene, but that's not the major policy thrust. The major policy thrust is empower the people, educate them, give them necessary skills. And even in America, 70% of American GDP is contributed by small enterprises, not by the multinational corporations, small enterprises who employ 10 people, 4 people, 5 people, or just by themselves. 70% of the American GDP comes from that. So therefore in India, Modi is promoting that lifestyle. And it is not against Dharma. It's not against Dharma. It is in tune with the Hindu Dharma. So that is the second revolution that Modi has brought in. And the third revolution that Modi has brought in is, it is the BJP rank and file. The BJP's ideology was an India based on the Hindu dharma. India for Hindus. Not bad, it's not a bad idea. But unfortunately in India, 20% are non-Hindus. And if you include Pakistan and Bangladesh, 30% of India will be non-Hindus, maybe 40%. In my vision, India includes all of these three countries. India, Pakistan, Bangladesh, maybe Nepal, maybe Sri Lanka, maybe Burma, maybe Afghanistan. This is the Akhanda Bharat, the Chakravarti Sthanam, Chakravarti Kshetra, as Chanakya conceived it. And India will realize its full potential only when we embrace all these countries in some way. Maybe like the European Union. In some way, we have to embrace all these countries. Then alone, India and Indians will realize their full potential. Otherwise, we will be fighting against each other. India and Pakistan, India and Bangladesh, India and Nepal, India and this tiny Maldives. They have the gumption to invite a Chinese president and cancel our contract and give the contract to them. If India had been strong, that would not happen. We had a contract, one of the Indian companies had a contract to develop Maldives airport. They cancelled it, scrapped that contract and gave it to China, and China is building that. Similarly, China is building a big port near Colombo. This is all to spite us. Of course, Modi is smart. Modi is going to Japan, Modi is going to Vietnam, Modi is going to these places and then trying to encircle China also. China is trying to encircle us. We are trying to encircle them. But we didn't have the gumption to do that so far. Modi has the courage to do that. Whether Indians have the courage or not, it's a different question. But Modi has the courage to stand up to China's bullying. So his concept of India is not just Hindus. His concept of India is one where Hindus play the leading role. At the same time, they have a place for other people also. Muslims, Sikhs and Buddhists, Jains and whatnot, even atheists. Because atheism was there in Indian thought system, Charvakas. So we need a state system which can accommodate these different religions. Maybe that is why Modi's campaign, in his campaign trail, he always addressed 120 crore Bharatvasia.
He doesn't say Hindus.
He did not say Hindus or Muslims. He always said 120 crore Bharatvasia. My secularism is nationalism, he said. Whatever is good for the nation is good. And he says it from the heart, because he dedicated his life for the nation. It is not just like a lip service. He thought about it. He spent a considerable number of time in Kashmir Valley. So he knows what he is talking about. So Bharatvasia. Again he says, it is not, the fight is not between Hindus and Muslims, but the poor Hindus and the poor Muslims against rich Hindus and rich Muslims. It's not a fight, it is a negotiation between these two people. Because you get what you negotiate. So he says, I'll create an environment where the underdogs can negotiate with upper dogs. Both are dogs only. Can negotiate with each other instead of fighting. Because in his vision, it is healthy competition, healthy negotiation, not trying to cut each other's throat. So he talks about the Bharatvasia, and he also talks about the India is like a bouquet. which has got different flowers. Just now, last week is on that. Considering just like a bouquet. A salad bowl with different pieces. It's not a melting pot like America. It's like a salad bowl. Different pieces retain their identity and still part of the common dish. The color is retained. The size is retained. The shape is retained. But it's part of the common taste. So that was another revolution I could see. This idea of India is very opposite. And the fourth revolution that Modi brought in is inspiring the young. Indian politician could not inspire them. After Mahatma Gandhi and Subhash Chandra Bose, nobody could, even Gandhi could not inspire young people that much. Bose could, but Bose was expelled from Congress because he was a little more revolutionary, so-called violent revolutionary modality. So Gandhi was unhappy, so he was expelled. So Indian politicians could not inspire after Vivekananda. Of course, Swami Bodhananda could. I would call Vivekananda was the first Indian politician because he addressed political issues. In the garb of spirituality, address political issues, economic issues, national unity. So Modi could influence, motivate, inspire the young people. Not uneducated young people, educated urban youth and the rural youth. Educated urban and rural youth was highly motivated by Modi. They trusted Modi. And I find all of them talking Modi language. You go to villages and talk to educated young people, they talk Modi language. So somebody said, oh, Ambani, Modi is supporting Ambani, Ambani is building big factories and making a lot of money. So young man asking, so how will he create employment in this country? Unless somebody puts factories, put up factories and big factories, how will he get employment? Earlier, the young man couldn't connect these two. A businessman putting up a factory and the people getting employment, they could not connect. For them, employment is a government job. The rest are all slavery, to be exploited by these rich business people. The businessmen were considered to be all chore. That's our idea. You could not see the economic connection. Government job is. Government a puny job for 3,000 rupees is enough than a job in a private company with 10,000 rupees. Now, this is better. Because you don't have to work there. In government office you don't have to work. There you have to work. So our concept of job was different. Employment was different. Here Modi has changed. He directly talked to young people. And his, chai pe charcha, and then his internet, his Twitter account. Modi is the second most followed world leader in the world in the internet, after Barack Obama. So Modi could directly talk to people. So that's another revolution. The young people are awake now with Modi's. Earlier young people were ignored and taken for granted. Now they are not taken for granted. They are on the driver's seat. This is the big revolution in India. It's happening. And the last but not the least is the master stroke of invoking all the SARC leaders to Modi's inauguration ceremony. I thought my mind went back to the Mahabharata, where Yudhishthira invited all the people for his Rajasuya. The very fact they accepted the invitation shows they respect India and they are ready to accept India's hegemony in South Asia. It's a subtle, subliminal acceptance of India's leadership. Hegemony may be a wrong word, sorry for that word. India's leadership, intellectual, political, and moral and spiritual leadership in South Asia. They accepted it. Only Begum Khalida Sheikh did not, Begum Hasina Sheikh did not come because of certain reasons. She had a prayer engagement. Otherwise she also would have come. That means Modi has that idea of the Chanakya, Chakravarti Shadra. We have to bring the old India back. Somehow or other. In which way, we don't know. But that's where the drift of things are. Things are moving towards that. Finally, we have to recapture the old glory. So these are the 4-5 levels that Modi has brought in this revolution. And I'm sure Modi is going to stay for another 15 years. As I told you, 10 years will rule, govern, and he will want to win the 3rd election, and he will hand over power to his a trained young leader. And if he does that, his name will be recorded in the history next to Mahatma Gandhi. Thank you very much.